Good morning on a Monday, February the 7th. Uh, Pretty cloudy day here in Space Coast, Florida today. Wow, what a mysterious Sunday I had yesterday. And, I decided to go to Coco Beach and have lunch an Italian restaurant, a really beautiful Italian restaurant that I love. I love to go. Napolitano pizza, very authentic. And it's not that I don't like to pig out with Italian food, but I like to enjoy Italian food, and I usually have it on Sundays. Either I make it or I go out there and get something really yummy. So anyway, I'm having lunch at this restaurant and having very low key. I'm literally the only person in there. I got there around 2:30, and around 5:36 you can't get in there. There's a line. There's a line to get into this place. So I'm having lunch, enjoying my margarita pizza. Unbelievable. And I get a call from this friend of mine that I've known since we were kids, uh, Juan Antonio Ko-tex. And we go back, yeah, kids. We go back a long time. So he's had a lot of issues with life and a lot of health problems. And so he's really out of it and he's really spiraling. And I get the call, I'm having lunch. And I said to him, do you mind if I call you back? Once I get in my car, I can call you back. So I got in my car and I drove back to where I'm staying. Took me about 40 minutes to get here, north of Coco Beach, and we talked. And Juan Antonio Ko-tex, man, could be a very annoying guy, very annoying. As beautiful as he is, and I'm going to see how I'm going to tackle this one because this one is a little bit more complex. These drawings are really trigger a lot of energy going back to kids, Play-Doh. So I went to Walmart and I had to buy some stuff, and I ended up getting at the toy department. I got Play-Doh. It just took me there. Then I have an eraser here, and this is a little different. This is once again working with Carl Jung, active imagination, and how we're going to deal with a drawing that will draw out certain life situations that we can look at, analyze them, and then make something out of them. So I had to I had to go back, being that Juan Antonio is such an intrinsic part of my life that I had to go back into the many years of our vault. I met him. Um, I was a drummer, professional drummer, and I met him in Miami when we were kids, and I was learning how to play drums. So when I met him, I was actually learning how to do one, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. And then with time, obviously, I was able to. I'm hitting books and I'm hitting all my stuff here. But this is kind of like an altar for this analysis. Uh, so when I met him, I was learning how to hold the sticks. Then we played in bands together in the South Florida area. I became a pro drummer when I was 15 years old. Tony became a DJ. So it was that era of clubs, going out, um, a lot of party, a lot of stuff going on with coke, drugs in Miami, South Florida, right? Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and I became pretty active in back then in the discos. They had live bands, and then they had DJs. So I I worked with Juan Antonio Ko-tex for years, And so anyway, I get this call, and he's going through a hell of a dilemma. And all these third party energies that are horrendous. And I'm going to start isolating this pictorial here and get into this drawing here. So this is Juan Antonio. So he married at 18 years old. He married Angie, right? Angela. He married Angela. Okay? Rum pen. My mechanical pencil, my magic pencil. That was a pen. I don't use a pen for drawing. I use a mechanical pencil. And once again, let's do a recap here. Carl Gustav Jung says, to practice active imagination, concentration helps to grow the mind. Focus on a dream. I had a really crazy dream last night. I haven't processed that yet. Let the unconscious speak. Generate an artifact on paper. Artifact on paper. And then analyze the message. Why I find this so effective is because I utilize something that was developed by the great genius, Italian genius, Leonardo da Vinci, which is where he goes around gesturally, then he finds space, and then space finds a contour, a line, then his form starts developing, and then the content of the form comes in. So we're working here with gestural drawings, what I call quantum drawing, developing a form, developing a content. Content would be this here, and then practicing this within the Carl Gustav Jung structuralism of psychoanalysis in a creative formation. Okay? Very clear. I'm not a therapist. I've been in therapy for many, many years, since 2020, and I have to say that it works for me. My opinion, it really works. It really works well. So, Tony, I called Tony, and his wife left him like 7 years ago. She went back to school. They married when they were 18. They had kids. He got into the car business, did very well. Then she goes back to school. She had a high school education. He had a high school education. She goes back to school. She gets her master's degree. All of a sudden now, she's flying high. She gets a degree in, a matter of fact, in psychology, and she started doing forensic work with the courts and the criminally insane, whatever, or forensic work. She meets this character here. He's a lawyer. And they start having a third-party relationship for years without him knowing it, until he finds out about it. Then he was devastated. Juan Antonio gets a heart attack. First heart attack. She leaves him. He loses the house. Spirals out of control. By the way, he had gained 500 pounds. He was really pegging out. Talk about Italian food and eating food. But he was a good-looking guy when I met him, and popular, very popular guy. Then all of a sudden, I see a picture of him. He's huge, 500 pounds. And I don't discriminate if people are skinny, fat, whatever. People are entitled. If you want to start eating a 25-pound pizza at 7 a.m. and finish at 7 p.m. every day of the week, I don't have a problem with that. Not at all. Not at all. I just wondered why Juan Antonio Ko-tex, and this is his nickname in the music world, Ko-tex. and you can kind of put things together. Singer back in the 80s, clubbing, popular guys, very much interconnected in a very respectful way, with all that female energy and the anima and the need. He had his mother was a beautiful lady, beautiful, classy lady. His father passed away of a heart attack when I met him. So the mother was an amazing woman. We used to practice the whole, musicians. We were young. We would go to his house. He had a beautiful house, a big house, and we used to set up all the equipment in the living room, and that's how I learned to play. Very young, learned how to play with other people, learned to express myself with other people, and the drums. And then it kind of helped me with expressing myself creatively wise and activating my imagination, not only in music, but also in how I see the vision of my own existence with others and others in me. Really helped me a lot. I don't want to make this a boring video, but I get on the phone in the car with Juan Antonio, and tells me that this woman here, I couldn't even see her face. He'd met her 4 years ago when he was going through this incredible, horrific, volcanic situation of her having a third party, him finding out, then she leaves him for this guy. He has a heart attack. So he meets her 3 years ago. I met her, but I couldn't see her face. In Facebook, she actually went to the same junior high we went to, from our era. Lovely lady, but weird, very controlling and very similar to her. She was very controlling. I haven't seen Juan Antonio Ko-tex since 2011, and then, anyway, 2011, after like 30 years, after 20-something years of the music world. He calls me. He sends me an email. And I go and I meet with him 7 years ago. I don't want to deviate from the analysis here, but I had to really wrap my head around this. And this really freaked me out because I said to him, I got all the information. I said, Tony, it appears that you're repeating cycles. You married her. Now, the thing was, she went back. They've been separated for a year. Now he just found out this weekend that she went back with her ex-husband, the father of the kids, very abusive guy, very abusive, weird, third party, karmic energy here, third party energy, in the circulus of the inferno. I would say the inferno of Dante Alighieri. Very symbolic in that area. All these liars and cheaters and, criminal lawyer. Anyway, so he calls me in the car crying, freaking out. I just found out she went back with her husband. And I said, oh, okay. I said, Tony, I hate to say this. You repeat the same circulus, the same reflective pictorial over and over again. And I said to him, I was having lunch. You called me. I knew we were going to get into something really heavy. Really heavy. And I don't mind going there. But, he said, well, the reason I come to you is because you've always had, since we were kids, you always had an ability to get putty or to make something out of nothing and to really understand and analyze it. He said, you were the guy that always knew what you wanted. You were the guys that always did the research. If you didn't know how to play the drums, you went to a teacher and you learned how to hold the sticks. You learn how to mechanically learn that in every stroke, if you let it go, it goes to your subconscious mind. From your conscious, I'm conscious of the pencil, I'm conscious of the paper. I am conscious of Juan Antonio Ko-tex and everything that he's going through because I've known him. Okay? I know that he's a very loving guy. This split up, this betrayal through the third party karmic energy destroyed him, gave him a heart attack. He got 2 heart attacks. So his diagnosis is really crazy. His diagnosis is half of his heart is alive and the other is working with a pacemaker. So she took half of his heart. Okay? Now the other half, is she going to take it? So what is he left with? What are you left with when your organism is shot? It's incinerated. It has 50,000, 500,000 miles of pain and 100 million miles of suffering. How are you going to recover from that? So I said to Tony, listen, Tony, you're a car guy. I love motorsports. I'm a big motorsports guy. I love car racing. I said, you're going through the track of life over and over and over. You're looping it and 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 looping it for 500 miles high. You're taking it to the next level, but you're looping it. You're always repeating the same track. You don't go to a different track. You don't have the ability to go with your car to a different track and drive with different drivers. You go back to the same. You're stuck in a seatbelt. This is the seatbelt of your existence. You got to disengage from the seatbelt. Okay? That's where Jung comes in with his symbols. The symbols. These are all archetypes. Why? Because it's interconnected with his mother was a very lovely woman, but she was highly controlling. He marries the mother. She leaves him for another man, for a third-party karmic relationship, completely toxic. He meets someone that she hasn't resolved her life. She's still hanging on. She's still married to her husband. Doesn't matter if they got a divorce. She's still married to the husband because they're kids. That energy of the family, that doesn't go away. A paper will not annihilate. A paper will not annihilate a marriage, a divorce, especially if there's kids. There's kids involved. There's actually grandkids involved. So now, exciting, knowing Juan Antonio Ko-tex is all by himself somewhere in a little town in Florida. Falling apart. He cried a lot on the phone. I listened to him. What a friend can do. Empathy. I said to him, Tony, let me get back to you. Let me go back, and I'm gonna draw it out using psychoanalysis, using Carl Jung. I'm gonna go back to creative imagination, and I'm gonna analyze it. So I got back home and I started the drawing last night. And 2006. Then I came here, and then I started once again doodling. I put an X and Y axis. Look what happened here, how interesting. And then I came back this morning, February the 7th, 2020. 2022. I don't know why 2022. 2022 here. I don't even write it down. How amazing, huh? 2022. So I came back here. Then I got up in the morning early. I saw that the X and Y axis, there were some lines here, and I defined them. It's an anchor. It's an anchor. It's a symbol. Carl Jung. Oh my God, look at this. I mean, you can't invent this stuff. This loop that loops over and over, which you could say Einstein E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass conversion twice, meaning energy and mass conversion, 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 conversion twice. He's repeating the circulus of quantum, the circulus of a warp space, of a black hole. He's going into a black hole with these humans that are, you don't want to be in a black hole, these people. It's like going back to Jean-Paul Sartre, No Exit, where imagine being stuck in an apartment for eternity with 3 people you hate, and you're stuck. There's no exit. He's going into the trap of no exit out of the black hole, of the psychoanalysis of the black hole, repeating the same pattern and over again. And what it is here is from here, from this area here, you could put this a coordinate here, you could put another coordinate here, you could put another coordinate here. This is her ego. She's a narcissist. What do you call them? Like a malignant narcissist. Completely. This one here is a covert narcissist. She's the victim. Everything goes wrong for her. She's always sick. Da 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 da. So he thought they had something in common because she's always sick. He's sick with a heart. Not a good couple. You got to have yin and yang. Yeah, there's a yin and yang here, but it's highly toxic because there is third-party karmic realities. So she is a player. She's a player of the game. She's a player of Dante Alighieri, the Inferno, the 9 wheels of the Inferno. And you know who was in the 9 wheels of the Inferno? Lawyers, politicians, liars, fakes. So Antonio, who has a heart, who loved her unconditionally, who did everything from passion. He's a passionate guy. That's the way he sang, he played the guitar, then he became he was a passionate guy. Always in love. Romantically in love. He would fall in love with he was a guy that would fall in love. That's what I remember Juan Antonio. And very annoying, by the way, because his life was always repeating the same cycle of here, the lack of this here. And he would balance himself, not here, with the conscious and the subconscious mind, but he would balance himself with the anima. And he was displaced with his own animas, with his own energy. So that's created anchorism. He's anchored. He was telling me, oh, even though I married, what's her name? Forgot her name. Anyway, I married the last wife. I never forgot about Angie. And Angie comes around. Look, she came, he said to me while I was driving, he said, once I married her 3 years ago, right? 3 or 4 years, or 3 years ago, Angie started coming back, even though she was with a third party. She started coming back. She even would visit me physically. So anyway, this is going to be a pretty a long video. I'm going to try to finish it, wrap it up as soon as I can. But the conclusion I came, and I'm going to somehow communicate this back to Juan Antonio. My conclusion was, which I've covered it many, many times over, the only way you stop karmic energy repeating the same cycles over and over again is when you put the brakes in the car. You stop the car, meaning boundaries. Here's a boundary here. Here's a boundary here. Okay? Now, this here is the singularity. The same singularity, symbolically, that cracked the atom that triggered the Big Bang. You can utilize that power, because that power is always within us, to trigger the cosmology of energy and break the mass, the heaviness. A gallon of paint weighs the same as a gallon of sand. It's mass. This is mass. This is energy. The universe is made out of two components, energy and information. What we do with this information, by, according to the great genius, mystic, psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, Carl Gustav Jung, is by analyzing the message. When we analyze the message, we get information. To break, or to, like we do in racing, to be able to align ourselves and calibrate the range of motion of speed and time. What Einstein would say is space-time, or in quantum mechanics, space-time. So if he puts boundaries here, and he practices that, and he gets a singularity, and he isolates himself, then there's hope. And that isolation requires kind of the same synergy that an atom goes through, or the nucleus in an atom. The nucleus is in the atom, and then you have 1 orbit, 2 orbit, 3 orbits. The same power that 2 electrons are in an orbit for electrons to go to a different orbit, or a parallel universe. He needs to go to another parallel universe and annihilate, make these humans, these karmic humans, a nothingness, in consciousness. I was going to say existentialism. Lucky thing he's not an egomaniac. He's not a narcissist. He's a pretty humble guy, and he's highly connected with his anima, and anima's. I don't know about that. He kind of finds himself with what? Here comes the other part. And I said to him, this is what I said to him, and I said, I got to process this. Music. I find myself in music. I start my day with music, and I go to sleep with music. No, I don't check my emails, and I don't watch news, or none of the above. I get a little bit of that just to keep up with what's going on. But my life is around art, music, generating good energy. So I said to Juan Antonio Ko-tex, I said, you got to go back to being a child. Go back to when you were 6 years old. Go back to the time we met. Go back to the time when we started playing music. You remember how fun it was? And how the anima, when you listen to sexy music, or sensuous music, or beautiful music, the core of beautiful music and sexy music is the female energy, is the anima. How can musicians play so beautiful and play either a violin or even drums and make it sound so sexy? Why? Because they're triggering in the creative imagination the forces of the enigma. And when you listen to music that hits you in the heart, it makes you feel. It empowers you. It makes you feel great. It makes you feel like I felt eating that pizza when you called yesterday. A pizza and a beer. Wow. Now, and this morning I realized when I saw this, how he's going to break the symmetry, the circular energy of repeating the same toxic consciousness and the same toxic humans, putting boundaries. But then I realized that once he does that, check this out. I couldn't invent this. He's going to get his heart back. He's going to get his heart back. He'll be able to recover from the unconscious once he's able to go into the subconscious mind, in the collective, where he is in balance with his conscious and subconscious. In the unconscious, through going through all these archetypes, anima and the animas and the shadow work he has to do to empower himself and push these people out. Then he will find his self. Once he finds his self-portrait, he'll be able to recover in the unconscious his heart. Okay? So this is my answer to Juan Antonio Ko-tex. For him to go back. Childlike qualities. Go back into, look at this here. I don't know where this came. This is the voice of the universe. This is the voice of sound. This is the voice. This is what he misses a lot. It's the great sound. The great sound of the universe. The great sound of the anima. The great sound that would make him fall in love and go back to these energies at this level. And yeah, even if it requires stopping by Walmart and getting Play-Doh, now I'm going to open it up, smell it. I haven't smelled it since I was a kid. And I remember that this was one of the things that I loved, that putty stuff, the putty. Then, when I started doing restoration, and I've done a lot of stuff in my life, I would use wood putty. It reminded me of Play-Doh. So the effect that I would have with my hands making stuff, good old days. 6 years old, 3 years old. It says here, ages 2+. There's a 6-year-old Juan Antonio in here. These people are not innocent. They're evil. They're toxic. They're opportunist. They never resolve anything in life. They just take advantage. They destroy. They destroyed a human life with the karmic, unresolved, vicious, poisonous, vampirism, energy that these assholes share in common. Thank you for watching.